Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is the second part in a 5-part series of webinars that are specifically designed for new members or new users to BNI Connect that are just getting started with the system and trying to figure it out. We break down the system into basically small 30-minute sections so that we can teach you efficiently and make sure that you can get on with your daily life as well. So today, as I said, is part 2. Yesterday, we went over how to fill out your profile. So some of the very, very basics of BNI Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the activity that you input into BNI Connect. So on a weekly basis, as you are doing things like today, getting CEU credits, or whether you're out there passing a referral or doing a one-to-one, we're going to show you how to put that into BNI Connect so that you can track all of that activity going forward. And hopefully I'll be able to show you why you want to track that activity going forward as well. Tomorrow, we're going to continue the series, and I hope to see some of you back for that one. We're going to talk about connecting with other members. So how do you find other people around the world within BNI to either be able to use their services or pass them a piece of business for somebody that might be a colleague or an associate. Then we're going to talk about, we're going to take a couple of days off. Next Tuesday, we're going to talk about the member tools and reports in BNI Connect. And finally, we're going to wrap it all up next Wednesday, a week from today, with inviting and registering visitors. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, this is a live webinar, at least if you're here with me today, which is Wednesday, January 11th, 2017. You're participating in a live presentation. So that means that it's interactive. If you have questions, comments, complaints, concerns, criticisms, compliments, feel free to put those in at any time during the call today. Just type them into the questions panel here in the GoToWebinar software. I'll see them pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to answer those as we're going through the material. As I mentioned, we try to keep these brief to about 30 minutes or so, at least for the content portion of it. After 30 minutes, I will open it up for questions for those of you that want to stick around a little bit longer and ask questions, and I am happy to always stay on these calls until every single question is answered. So if you happen to be listening to a recording, because we do record all of these webinars as well, know that if you have any additional questions, you can email them to support@bniconnect.com. Again, that's support@bniconnect.com. Or you can submit a ticket on the support site, which you can access by clicking the question mark in BNI Connect. Now, as I mentioned, we are recording these, so they will be made available afterwards as well. So a good referral for me is to please share these recordings and share the links to register with other people in your chapter and your region. So let's go ahead and get started. And as I said, today we're going to talk about, how do we enter this information in BNI Connect? So hopefully, you're familiar with the process of passing referrals and having one-to-ones and doing all that weekly activity. And one of the things that we can do now, traditionally, that as in the past was done on pieces of paper. So you would get to your meeting and you'd fill out a referral slip, and then you'd hand that referral slip over to the person that you had the referral for, or the one-to-one slip. You would turn that in, and basically the vice president would take all of those pieces of paper. They would take them back to their office. They would put them into piles. They would count them, and then they would enter them into whatever system we were using at the time. For the past 5 years or so, that's been BNI Connect, but they would type it into the previous systems before that. Now, especially for people that might be new to BNI, that would take a very long time to do. So my chapter has about 50 members in it. It would take our vice president somewhere around an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to basically fill out what's basically a spreadsheet of the chapter's activity. One of the great things about BNI Connect is that when we start entering this information into BNI Connect, that gets posted automatically. So you don't have to worry about those pieces of paper. In addition to that, if you were just doing this on a piece of paper, once you hand over that piece of paper, it's gone. So unless you're tracking it in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, You've just handed over all of that information and there's no way for you to track it going forward. Well, with BNI Connect, we can track all that information for you, but only if you enter it into the system. So let's show you how to do that. Now, this is our home page in BNI Connect. So yesterday we jumped right into updating your profile. Today, let's take a quick look at what's available here on the home page. So this first section up here at the top, it says My BNI Business, right? So let me actually go to my live stuff. My BNI Business. So the My BNI Business is really, it's your activity in the chapter. So it's going to have all of your referrals and your thank you for closed business and your visitors, your one-to-ones, all of that weekly activity is recorded in the system and will display here. So it'll show you the last 12 months as well as your lifetime in BNI as well. So you can really track your progress throughout the year. So, for example, this is my live profile here. So I can see that over the last year I've received 22 referrals. I've been thanked for generating about $60,000 worth of business for other members of my chapter. I've given 42 referrals. I've brought one visitor. I got to get better at that. And I have had 60 one-to-one meetings and 134 CEUs. So that's my activity as a member throughout the year. Now, regardless of whether you're using paper or slips, the slips online in BNI Connect, this information should all be active and updated because it's coming from the chapter PALMS report. The only number that's not coming from the PALMS report is this top number. It says revenue received to my business. So typically when you turn in a thank you for closed business on a piece of paper, we only mark in the PALMS report the person that generated the revenue. However, if you enter those through BNI Connect, we can actually keep a tally for you of how much money you've made from BNI referrals over the years. So that's one of the biggest benefits right there, is that you can really track your return on investment on a weekly, monthly, yearly, and lifetime here in BNI. Now, if you would like more detail about this, the very first place you can go is, you'll see that above this there is a hyperlink. It says My Personal Participation Report. Now, if I click on My Personal Participation Report, this is essentially going to go to the PALMS report for the chapter and just take my activity out of it on a week by week by week by week basis. So for the past year worth of meetings, essentially from January 11th last year through January 11th this year, it pulled out my weekly activity. So I can see exactly which weeks I had one-to-ones. I could see what was recorded each week. And this is also a great troubleshooting guide, by the way. So let's say that you look at your list here and you say, oh my goodness, it says I had 6,000 one-to-ones. Well, more than likely that's because if you were using paper, somebody entered the one-to-ones in the thank you for closed business column by accident. So you could actually go back and figure out which week had the incorrect markings in it and just talk to your vice president and they can make that change. They can update that for you. The same is true if you maybe were marked absent but thought you might have had a substitute there or something like that. You can see your participation summary here. Also, any members that you've sponsored in the past 12 months and any training that you've attended in the last 12 months. And as I said yesterday, if anything doesn't seem right, or let's say that you have training that seems to be missing from this list, just contact your director or your regional office and they can certainly manually update that in the system so that it's displaying correctly. So Gladys has a quick question. As a private company, return on investment is not really good to be shared. I'm paraphrasing a little bit. So the ROI here, this is a private number, by the way, only available to you, right? So only available to you. So nobody else in the world can see that number. The only reason you're seeing this for my account is because I've let you into my account here in order to show you how to use it, but nobody else has access to that information. So my director consultant doesn't have that. My executive director can't see that number. My leadership team can't see that number. Ivan Meisner can't see that number. I have godlike access to BNI Connect. I can't see that number for anybody else but myself. So you don't have to worry about any privacy putting that information in here. That is kept, again, private only to you. So Gladys, does that help a little bit? Does that settle your fears at all? Awesome. Right? If we made that number public, we would probably have almost no participation. So, all right, so that's the numbers up here. And again, this number is private to you. It's not displayed anywhere else. Now, in order to get the numbers into BNI Connect and to track this information on an ongoing basis, down at the bottom is all of our kind of action steps here. So you'll see the first ones are submitting the various slips. We have our thank you for closed business, referral one-to-ones, and CEU slips. Those are the 4 different types of slips that are available. We can also track referrals we receive. So that's one of the other big benefits of this, is that if somebody passes you an electronic referral, you can track the progress of that referral electronically as well. Then we have our reports, so we can review any of the slips that we've generated. And this right here will give you tremendous insight into your membership, because it's, if we're just looking at the figures up here, I can see that I gave 42 referrals last year, but who did I give the referrals to, right? If we're looking to build our network, we also need to make sure that we're building and passing referrals to especially the people in our contact sphere. So this can help you to discover that information. You can also just look at a list of referrals that you've received. And of course, to participate in the end of the meeting, the referrals and testimonials portion of the meeting, you can actually print out your weekly activity as well. So let's take a look at how each of these things work. So for this one, just so you know, I'm going to switch screens here real quick, and I'm going to go to our special test system because, again, I am a member, so I don't want to mess up my stats. I have access to this test system. So I'm going to do this activity here for a few minutes. So let's say that I have a referral for somebody, right? So I can click on Submit a Referral Slip, for example. Now, hopefully, this looks pretty familiar. It looks just like the paper slips, if you've ever seen the paper slips. I know some chapters have gone completely paperless, so you may not even recognize the paper slip, but this is what the paper slip pretty much looks like. All I need to do is to select somebody from this list. So this is the list of all of the current members of my chapter. So let's say that I had a referral for, let's say Stephen Schwartz. And, Stephen does mobile app development, and you know what? One of my best friends is looking for an app to be developed, so I'm going to refer him to Stephen and give him the information. So this person is Joey Tribbiani. And this is an outside referral, by the way. An inside referral is if you are referring yourself to somebody in the chapter. Okay, so it would be if I was going to use somebody else's services, that would be considered an inside referral. A tier 2 referral means I'm introducing Stephen, in this case, to somebody else that I'm connected to. That's a tier 2 referral. All right, I'm going to say that I told this person that Stephen was going to call them. And I'm going to put in the address information, 1 Here Street in Thareville, Rhode Island, and the telephone number. Right, and I'm going to type in the email address and any comments. So Joe is looking for a new mobile app to find out what episodes of Friends people like. Okay, now this is a hot referral, so I'm going to mark this as a level 4, let's say. Now I have a couple of options. I can choose Save and New, which is going to bring up a new blank referral slip right away, or I can just submit this one and it'll bring me back to the home page. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. So just a couple of quick comments that came up. Boyd said, our chapter just started in March and we've never even seen the paper. And yep, that is a common experience nowadays with chapters that have jumped directly to the referral slip. So that's good to hear, Boyd. Thank you. Lucy says, if I refer my husband, is that an inside or an outside referral? Now, in my opinion, that is an outside referral because your husband, I'm assuming, has a choice as to whether or not they are going to, or has their own choice as to whether or not they're going to end up doing business with that person. And it is somebody that's not a member of the group and you're bringing into your network with your other BNI members. So that's, you're bringing somebody from the outside of your group into the relationships within your group. So in my opinion, that would be an outside referral. Now, it's also important that even referrals that are your wife or your husband or your brother, then it should be still followed up ahead of time before you pass that referral. So you always still need to get permission to call. There's nothing worse than, let's say, referring your husband without checking with your husband first, and then they just get a random call from the other BNI member and have no idea why that person's calling them. So make sure that even if it's a very close friend or a husband or wife or girlfriend or whatever, that you do get that permission to call first. So does that make sense, Lucy? So Boyd, I know some people have said, well, inside means I passed it at my chapter meeting and outside means I passed it, well, when we were outside of our chapter. So that was a misconception at one point, but inside really means that the relationships stayed within the chapter, and outside means I've brought somebody from the outside and introduced them to my group. Does that make sense, Boyd? All right. So that's a referral slip. The other great thing about these referral slips is that, for example, I received a referral a couple of days ago, and when they passed me this referral, I got a notice right away. So as soon as that gets entered, your referral, the person that you're giving the referral to, will get an email saying, hey, Jeremy just passed your referral. And so this is one that I got last week. This was from a member of my chapter, and it has all the referral information in it. You know, the nice thing is that, you know, I can just click this link and start an email right to this person right away, get that referral process started a lot quicker. If I need more information, it has all of my referrals partners information on there as well. I can start an email to Ron here or even give him a call. And if I receive this on my phone, I'm on the move, if I need to call them, I could just click that phone number and it'll start the call right away. So it really does speed up the referral process as opposed to waiting until your chapter meeting in order to pass that referral. All right, so now, thank you for closed business. That's the other side of the coin. Oh, I skipped something. I'm so sorry. After you submit those referrals, they will immediately show up in your referral slips report. So if I click on review my referral slips, this will essentially show me every single referral that I've passed. Now, I only chose for the last month. Let me go back a couple of years here. And it will essentially show me every referral that I've ever passed since using BNI Connect. Now, you'll notice that some of these, they'll have the POMS status here. Some of them say completed. And then these last ones on the list here say draft. Now, the reason that it's draft is because that meeting hasn't been entered into BNI Connect yet. So what happens is I pass a referral today. My chapter meeting is tomorrow. So it goes into draft mode. Then after our chapter meeting has taken place, our vice president goes back, he marks attendance for everybody that came to the meeting, inputs any additional information that might be needed, and then closes out the report. After he closes out the report, you'll see that it says completed here. And at that point, it is official and it counts in your statistics. So don't panic if it says draft. That will change to completed once your Vice President has completed the weekly report, which may not be exactly on the day of your meeting. It may be a couple of days later, but hopefully definitely before the next meeting. All right, so thank you for closed business. It's the same thing. I can choose somebody from my chapter. Now, we also have the opportunity here to do cross-chapter. And Douglas, I think that this is going to somewhat answer your question. If you've done business with, or you have business for, a referral for, or one-to-one for somebody else in your region, now it does have to be within your region, so somebody else, in one of the nearby chapters, then you can record that information here as well. So let's say that, a while back, one of the guys, another person here in my area passed me a referral, and that turned into business for me. So I want to make sure I thank them for that business. So I can always do this search cross chapter. So the person that referred me the business, he's a web designer in another chapter. It doesn't have a computer guy in his chapter. So he referred me to somebody. His name is David Cordero. Now, David, I can never remember. I do this webinar every month, and I can never remember whether in the system it's listed as Dave or David. So I'm going to just put in the first couple of letters here because you don't need to put in the whole name. It might not be the right spelling, and it won't return any results. So I'm just going to put in Dave and the first couple of letters of his last name. And here he is, and it is David instead of Dave. So I can choose David now. And now I can put in that, this generated, $2,500 worth of business for me. I choose whether it was new or repeat business. Now we should be tracking. So if you get a client, like for me, a lot of my clients are, managed services. So they become monthly clients. They're, stay clients for years and years and years. Every time I invoice them, or maybe once a quarter or something like that, I want to make sure I'm continuing to turn in thank you for closed business for all of those, repeated business. So again, inside, outside. Now a tier 3 referral would be if David had referred me to somebody that then referred me to somebody else. I can continue to track the revenue for that as well and make sure he gets credit for that secondary referral because I probably wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for David. Now the comments are going to be private to you, only to you. So you can be as specific or as vague as you want to in these comments. Only you will be able to see them. So I can put in, this was for, John Smith and a new server, right? Once again, I have save and new or submit. There are no notifications that go out with this. So the only way that the other person will know that you've turned in thank you for closed business is that you do need to announce it at the meeting, or if your chapter doesn't announce these publicly, make sure that you let David know that you have submitted that thank you for closed business form. All right, one-to-ones and CEUs are very, very similar. One-to-ones, submit a one-to-one, who you had the one-to-one with, what the location was, and topics of conversation. The date that you had the meeting. Now, only one person needs to submit the one-to-one. Both of you will get credit for it. If Elizabeth goes and tries to submit another copy of it, she will get a warning letting her know that I've already submitted that one-to-one. And of course, CEUs, right now, take a moment, log in, make sure you give yourself 1 credit for today's BNI webinar. So go ahead and click submit on that. All right, now, of course, we do have these other reports down here as well. So once you start inputting thank you for closed business slips, now you can go back and, again, review all of your thank you for closed business slips that you've submitted. So I can, again, go back to when I first started using this in February of 2012 and review every single slip that I've ever input, which is actually absolutely awesome because if you sort this by the amount or by the thank you to, you can see, let's see who the biggest referral sources are, or who am I thanking for the most business, right? And when I do that, it's very surprising to me sometimes just who is generating the most business for my business. right? It's great to see, all the different people that, I can see here that for me, she's an accountant. So an accountant and a computer guy don't typically pass a ton of business, but I can see Christy has passed me a ton of business. I can also see who might not be in the list and who I need to build better relationships with. All right, so, and again, nobody else has access to those comments, so if you want to be as specific as you'd like to, so you can go back and recognize that later. All right, so we have a couple of questions that popped up here. Cheryl asks, do you enter the business sale price or the profit that was made? So generally speaking, it's going to be the gross receipts to your company. Okay, so the gross receipts to your company. So for me, I put in whatever I invoice. It doesn't matter if it's a computer where I have a small profit margin or whether I put in, strictly service or something like that. So it would be whatever I'm invoicing. Now, for some place like let's say I don't know, a real estate person, you're not going to put in the price of the house. What you would put in is the gross commission to your real estate company. All right, which is usually going to be, let's say, the 3 to 6% of the sale price of the house. So we don't need to know that, oh, well, as a real estate agent, I put, $3,000 into my own pocket after I've paid rent and taxes and all that kind of stuff. It's the gross receipts to your company. Now if you look on the support site, there is a guideline for that. There are some very kind of funky businesses like banking where there may not be a direct revenue associated with it, where they have some suggestions for how to do that. All right, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Lucy says, one example is, let's say that I have a 9-month program that I invoice $850 for. Do I enter the full amount right up front or the $850 and then enter each month when you collect it? That is administratively up to you. I would say that the danger of doing it all up front is that if there's anybody that doesn't go through the whole program, then the figures will be incorrect. That said, I know that, for example, our cell phone person, we have a cell phone concierge in my chapter, they actually input the whole price of the contract once they sign somebody up, because that's the kind of the guaranteed revenue to Verizon over the course of that contract. So that one's kind of up to you. Does that make sense? Kelly asks, does this replace the need to attend an MSP or member success program in person? No, please, please, please attend the member success program in person. We're covering a complete parallel focus of things than the member success program covers. Member success program is going to teach you about contact spheres and the referral confidence curve and how to give better referrals. This is more of a technical thing on how to do stuff in BNI Connect. So they're going to talk about all different things in the member success program. That is still a requirement to go to. If anything, these are optional, whereas the member success program is 100% mandatory. So hopefully that helps. Kelly says, should I record stuff from before I was a member, possibly if you were in a core group or something like that? I would say no, we're really only tracking things once you become a member. On a similar note, if you're a veteran member, you've been around for a while, you just haven't been using BNI Connect, please don't go back and enter stuff into the system that's already been counted before. Then it will be double credited because you've already been given credit for it. Just pick a starting point from today forward and do it that way. Joshua says, I'm in the BNI Southeast region. I do business outside of my region. Is there a way to pass referrals through BNI Connect to members outside my region? Unfortunately, no, not right now. Right now, it is limited only to the people in your region. So you can by all means, you can continue to do business with people around the world, and I do on a daily basis. The only thing you can't do is to submit it for credit. Now, that may change in the relatively near future, especially because we will be releasing a mobile app in the next 3 to 4 months that will allow you to do all of what I'm showing you today electronically on your mobile device. So through a native app. That's coming out soon. We're expecting it sometime April, May time frame. Once that happens, they may reconsider and open up those borders for referrals, but no decision's been made on that quite yet. All right. So I know we're at the bottom of the hour. I answered a ton of questions today, but there's just 2 quick things I want to show you before I close it out and just strictly open it to questions. First of which is that after you've passed your slips, right before your chapter meeting, you can print your weekly slips. This will allow you to be included for the door prize and things like that. So just click on print your weekly slips, and when this prints out, you'll notice that the referral slips are about the same shape and size as a regular referral, so you can be included for the door prize. If you don't print them out, then you can usually still fill out a piece of paper to be included for the door prize in your chapter. So the other thing is, I did mention that you can track your referrals received online, and this is a way that it will allow you to. Any referrals that you've received, you can go in and, for example, this one from Michael, I can fill out any missing information, but more importantly, I can input, when did I actually contact them? When did I meet with them? When did I follow up with them? And the most important part is the status. So I can change it from pending to closed to no sale. Now, what's nice about this is that my referral partner, who is Steven Schwartz in this case, he's the one that passed me that referral, in his referrals given report, so in his review my referral slips, you'll notice that there is a tracking sheet status. So in his tracking sheet, it will show that I marked that as a closed deal. So now this is kind of a 2-way communication and accountability to let my referral partner know that I did close that deal. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour. Just a reminder, I am recording this webinar, including all of the upcoming questions, and I do see a couple more questions, so I will get to those in just a moment. One question is, you're recording these, how will we get to the recordings? So the recordings will be available in 2 places. So in BNI Connect, if you click, see this question mark up here in the upper right-hand corner? That will bring you to the support site. Here, click on Live and Recorded Webinars. Our list of upcoming webinars. Soon you will see a January recorded webinars. I will get that up probably towards the end of the week. But in the meantime, you can review last month's as well. This has the full series of last month's webinars here. In addition, we do have a YouTube channel where all of these webinars are stored. That's youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. You'll see our entire collection up here that you're welcome to browse and look through. We even have some shorter 3-minute videos that are educational slots. All right, so if you do need to leave right away, thank you so much for being with me today. But as I said, I am always happy to stay here until all questions are answered, so I'm going to answer those questions now. All right, Douglas, I think we took care of your question. Mallory says, will you be sending a link to the recording? I think I just answered that, so you can find it on YouTube and also on the support site. Tricia says, why are the things in draft mode? So when you submit a referral into BNI Connect, it's submitting it for the next upcoming meeting. Okay, so this referral that I just put in today, or actually I just put I'm in the other system. So let me, this referrals, if I go to review my referrals, so here you can see these referrals that are still in draft mode, and that's because especially in this test system, nobody's submitting the POMS reports very regularly. So I can see that all of these are still in draft mode, which means I need to talk to my VP in my fake region here in order to get them done. Now, in my personal one, let me go back a little bit longer here. So I can see that, as the weeks pass and my vice president has gone in and closed the referrals, closed the POMS report, I can see that these are now all in completed mode. And it actually looks like he just closed that report because they just moved from draft to completed within the last 30 seconds because our meeting is tomorrow. So, all right. Let's see. Anita says, what is a CEU? So a CEU, if you're not from the United States, you may not even see that option. CEU is something that we do here in most regions in the United States, and what it is it's a chapter education unit. What it means is, just like continuing education that a lot of professions have to do, it's really just tracking any additional learning that you've done. For example, webinars and podcasts and things like that that enhance your learning and your member experience. So those would be CEUs. These are really in the spirit of the number of hours that you spent doing it. For example, most of the BNI CDs are about an hour, and a podcast is about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes, so 5 of them would be an hour. Most member success programs are 2 to 3 hours, so that's why it's 2 credits. If there's something that you've done that's not on this list, just pretty much the amount of time that you spent doing it. Let's say that you went to a 4-hour training, and just give yourself 4 credits here, 4 hours worth of credits, or 2 of these ones instead, and that way you'd have the 4 credits for that week. So does that help, Anita? All right, Lucy says, I received a paper referral and believe it was updated on BNI Connect by our VP, but I don't see how to edit it in the referral received. So you can only edit and track referrals received electronically. So if your referral partner handed it to you on paper, then you can't edit it. It won't be in that list. So you only can do that for electronic. So both partners need to put it into BNI Connect to start with. Now, if you'd like to, it won't be connected to the POMS report, but you see that there's a button here, Add New. If you would like to type in a referral that maybe you got on paper, or maybe it's even from a completely separate place, you can track them here yourself. Note that this will not impact the POMS report. You do have to submit those as slips for credit using the regular referral slips. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that was the last question. Do we have any additional questions whatsoever? I'd be happy to answer those questions. If not, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. I look forward to seeing some of you in tomorrow's webinar. Again, tomorrow we're going to be talking about connecting with other members. So if you'd like to learn how to kind of find other members in other states and other regions and other chapters, please join us tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And if not, I do hope that you have an absolutely awesome rest of the week, and I wish you continued success with your BNI membership. Thanks again, and happy connecting.